If God created the universe, can we see scientific proof of it?
Oh, right, this is the part where I say, ooh, I know, but I'm kind of done with that bit, because it's always the same. Just why can't apologists say, hey, you know how God is unscientific and intangible? Okay, cool, but I still believe in him, but I'm not going to go and pretend that the idea is in any way scientific. Then we can all just get along and the world would be a much better, less silly place. But of course that can't happen, because you just gotta try and prove God, and fail spectacularly. Oh well, go ahead. Damn, this video's title says this guy is a scientist, but are we sure he's not the world's greatest acting unit, Calculon? Because that was quite the dramatic pause! Really bringing up the tension up in here. If his science is as good as his unholy acting talent, then I'm in for quite the challenge.
We are so used to watching public television.
No, I haven't watched public television to any significant degree in literally over 15 years. So any argument you're going to make based on that idea doesn't apply to me and will apply to fewer and fewer people as the cords get cut over and over and over again. Perhaps it's a petty point to make, but saying something that is wrong for a large amount of people who will be seeing it, well, it doesn't bode well for the rest of the video, not gonna lie.
Where it seems like everything that happened in the universe from the beginning until now can be explained naturally.
I don't know, depends on what television you watch, but anything that tries to base itself on somewhat realistic principles, sure, is going to present a world largely formed via naturalistic means, mostly because those are the only things that we have been able to prove real, and are thus universal. No matter what culture you come from, chances are the scientists in any of them all have pretty similar ideas about where the everything came from. For some bizarre reason. It's almost like they're right.
That we think everything came about naturally.
Think? Have you met most humans? Or me? No one thinks. That's a slanderous lie. Everyone functions via a series of bingo balls spinning around their heads, and then whatever one is pulled out, that's what the person does. Right, let's see. Aha! Always a winner. What do you mean cheating? No, they just all look like they have drink whiskey written on them. It's an optical illusion for some vaguely believable lie. Yeah, that's it.
Now some argue and say, well, look how beautiful the bee is, or the flower, or how complex we are.
First off, bees beautiful? Correct. I mean, look at this adorable little bastard. Even though I'm not much for insects, but that one is cute as f***. Unlike the butterfly, those things are f***ing horror shows up close. And don't even get me started on the humans. I mean, look at those things. All weird and horrible and yuck.
Obviously there was a designer.
Obviously? F***ing what? I thought you said this guy was a scientist. What, was he in the kindergarten course? There's no obviously about it. And the vast majority of evolutionary biologists would have a lot to say about your so-called design, and even more to say about its so-called designer. Most of them about how shit he is at making things.
But those arguments are hard for some people to hold on to.
Oh, and there I was thinking you were going to go with, these arguments are fucking shit. No. It's not about being able to hold on to them. It's that they are really fucking dumb and super fucking lazy. That, and barring the humans, they don't account for all the things in the world that are just plain horrific, disgusting, or downright terrifying to behold. And that God must have made those too, and if pretty things are an argument for God, then what do you even do with those, eh? Ignore them. That's what you do with them.
So where should we look to see God's hand in creation?
Have you checked your butthole? Get up, butthole.
Finally! Do you know how long I've been waiting to use that clip in a video? So much better. That was Tom Cardy's, if you're not familiar. Not that he needs a shout out, but he makes funny songs, and if you like me, you'll probably like him. But seriously, mate, have you checked your butthole for God? Because when I lose something, it's always in the last place I check, which is always my butthole. You would think that I would just start checking there first.
Well, the Torah actually tells us that the world came about mostly naturally.
Mostly natural. Not good enough. And now, let's get one thing straight. I'm not exactly what you would call familiar with the Torah, so I'll have to take your word for that. But even if true, which I kind of doubt, mostly would still be, in most likelihood, wrong. seeing as there is literally zero evidence available to us for anything inside the universe or otherwise being created, outside of all the shit that humans do, which is hardly godlike, except, that stuff.
That God was hidden within the laws of nature, and he was doing things within the laws of nature.
Well, isn't that just a fantastic cop-out? No, you see, God is totally real, and it's just that the stuff we can prove, well, if you look behind it, you'll see him hiding, the top of his head poking out, staring at us angrily from the back of his couch. Really spooked him barging into his house like that.
So we shouldn't be surprised that science is so successful.
Wow, science is good because God is like totally extra real and in fact hides in the science making the science work. Because that sounds like totally not a massive fucking ball ache to do. Even if one were omni whatever, there's got to be a point where you go, you know what, fuck this, I'm having to lie down. And then the entire universe goes to shit. Hey, God, you are getting sleepy. Very, very sleepy. Right, did the universe end? Shit, well, I'm out of ideas.
However, the Torah also tells us there is 3 places where we can look.
3 whole places to look. Wow, those must be something. But as long as none of them are underneath Mount Vesuvius, because there's nothing under there, certainly not a lifetime supply of custard donuts. No. Look, stay the fuck out of my donut hole.
Where God did something outside of nature.
Oh, that's what you can see in the look places. And, that makes literally zero sense, right? How can you look somewhere within nature and see something outside of nature? Is there some kind of nature window that I haven't seen that lets you look into the other? I wonder what could be there. But it's something really fascinating that I just forced Mrs. Sick to come up with. Wow!
He uses the word bara, creation ex nihilo, out of nothing.
Creation out of nothing. Wait, I thought that's what I quote-unquote believed. Because, I don't. In fact, the idea that the universe came out of nothing is, in fact, not what a lot of science guys really say. At least, not nothing, but then again, there are different kinds of nothing, but I'm not going into that again. It made me go cross-eyed.
And if we look in those 3 places, he uncloaks himself from being concealed within nature. Let's look at some of those.
Oh wow, that's quite the claim. You are literally saying that God, a supernatural entity that exists beyond time and space, can be seen through a bunch of holes that we can poke into the veil of reality. Now, I'm not going to say that's exactly the opposite of what's about to happen, but who am I kidding? We've done this dance before. If you manage to change it, I'll be fucking shocked.
The first one is Bereshit bara, in the beginning God created.
Isn't that just an unsubstantiated claim? That is not something you can look into. That's just you saying, hey, I decided my version of God did all the everything. That's not exactly what I would call scientific, like, even remotely. Come on, dude, do better.
It's the only bara in the whole of cosmology, in the whole of the first 4 days.
Okay, not sure what that really means, and maybe you didn't look hard enough for more of them. No, I'm not going to make that joke again. But I mean, religious texts are so often open to massive interpretation. I'm just wondering if you maybe missed one. I mean, it'll still be as wrong as the first one, but I'm just trying to help, man.
Where all the stars and the galaxies and the sun and the earth and so on are made.
I'm going to say no, that did not happen, okay? Okay.
And if we look today in science, we have a very good explanation in the Big Bang Theory of everything that happened naturally.
Well, yes, the Big Bang explains everything that happened after the universe started. And even better, you know what that explanation doesn't need? A little dude hiding inside pretending that he's the one doing everything. It just works all on its own. And any anthropomorphized explanation is completely unnecessary. And frankly, more than a little bit presumptuous.
But we know nothing about the beginning.
Oh my God, it's a, God of the Gaps argument. Fuck me, I haven't heard one of those in hours. Seriously, is that where this is going? We aren't sure what kicked off the universe as we know it, therefore it's God, and not just a God, but always whoever is speaking's God. Because there isn't an ounce of possibility that you could be wrong, eh? Fucking every single time without fail. And never not dumb.
Science does not know where time came, where space came, where any of that came.
Fucking knew it. Dude McDoodington, God of the Gaps is a logical fucking fallacy for a reason. All it does is say, I can't explain X, therefore I can say whatever explanation I want can go in there. And since you don't know, that makes it valid. Except it doesn't, because anyone's explanation can be just as valid by that quote-unquote logic. I could say that the universe started when I threw a noisy scooter of the dickhead who keeps driving up and down my street into the fucking sun because he's a really inconsiderate arsehole and needs to get a job. What do you mean that's oddly specific? Don't know what you are talking about, because I can't hear myself think. Prick.
So if we look there, we can see scientifically that we cannot explain it.
That is fucking, and I'm trying not to mince my words here, but fucking dumb. We can't see that we can't explain it scientifically. We can see that we can't explain it yet. But more importantly, that we have naturalistic explanations for 99.99 recurring % of the everything else. So what are the chances the explanation for that, when worked out to its fullest, isn't just going to be more of the same? I mean, I know that there are a lot of religious folks who like to talk about the odds of yada 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 being in God's favour, but frankly, it really is the total opposite.
The next bara is actually
not completely idiotic, I hope. Not that I'm holding my breath. If I did that, waiting for a good argument from any one of my subjects, I would have been dead 1,000 times over. Not from the breath holding, I'm well good at that, but from smashing my head against a wall because you keep saying the same ridiculous shit again and again and again.
The big sea creatures in the ocean in day 5.
See, f***'s sake, big ocean creatures are scientific proof for God. How does that work? What is it? That evolution can't make big sea fellas? Or maybe that God put them there by hand? Or whatever the appendages he has? Maybe that if you cut one open along the middle, they have God done did the universe written down the middle like a stick of rock candy.
In science, we have in the fossil record something called the Cambrian explosion.
Oh, god damn it, no, please don't. Every time apologists bring up the Cambrian explosion, it's always to make some asinine point that they think the Cambrian explosion supports somehow. Let me give you all a hint. If you think that the Cambrian explosion supports something to do with your God claim, it doesn't. It just doesn't. Now please stop bringing it up for fuck's sake.
Which is a period of time where life just exploded. We can see it in the fossils. There's hardly any life, and then boom, we have all these different lives. And in fact, the plans for all animals were established at that time, the physical plans of our bodies.
The plans? What the fuck are you talking about? And do you mean our as in humans? Because the Cambrian explosion happened over 500 million years ago. I mean, primates didn't show up until as recently as about 50 million years ago. So the things that were the things that eventually became humans didn't fucking exist in the Cambrian period. And not just humans, but fucking loads of species. Only recently developed from a geological standpoint. The very concept that there were anything approaching plans laid out is ludicrous at best.
Very hard to explain scientifically. It's a bara.
So your second amazingly scientific argument for God is another fucking God of the Gaps argument. Hell, it's not even as strong as the first, because it can be explained. There's tons of study on that even. Can you tell I'm sick of saying Cambrian explosion yet? So because something is maybe difficult to explain, therefore God, even though it's probably completely explicable without God. Is it me, or are these only going to get worse?
And the final place where we should look is the human soul.
Oh, me, it did get worse. We went from something that will need to be explained to something that can be explained to something that doesn't need to be explained at all because it doesn't fucking real. Talk about saving the worst for last. It's like he knew these only got more idiotic as he went on. Fuck.
The human body is made naturally from the ground.
From the ground? Oh no, someone needs to give this guy a lesson on the birds and the bees as well. People come from other people. I know, it sounds weird and more than a little bit sticky, but it's true. You weren't grown in a pot in your parents' garage no matter what they told you. They did an entire sex in order to make you. I know, but it's the truth, and you're just going to have to confront them about it. Please film it and put it on YouTube for science and hilarity.
But the human soul is divine.
I think we can agree on that. The human soul is exactly like all divine things. It doesn't exist. Always great when we can come to some kind of consensus, where I'm right, obviously.
And we really don't have an explanation for our modern human behaviors.
Off. We have an entire field of study dedicated to human behaviours, and it's called psychology. And even if you aren't sure about it, you must admit that it's a damn sight better than relying on literally any ancient text in order to explain anything about why humans do things.
Such as speech and symbolic behavior, mathematics, music, and so on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of those things can be explained because all of those things were invented by fucking humans. Are you serious? Everything you have said has been one debunked thing after another, and you think that somehow means that we can prove God scientifically? I think the only thing that we have proven today is that you aren't a very good scientist, mate.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the